Oh, hello everybody. This is a little intro to say hi, welcome to the Wired Unplugged episode 7. It's just a Jake and Aaron special this week. And unfortunately, we've had a couple of tech issues because I was traveling. I was on a remote setup. I think I've got quite a decent laptop. We had good stable internet connection, about 20 times faster than where I live here in Wales. However, we had some issues where Aaron's microphone during the recording was stuttering, sometimes completely cutting out. So we've done our best to put together what I'd like to call a kung fu dub, where Aaron is going to lovingly recreate some of his own words. So it's like Aaron Cooper played by Aaron Cooper. Now, if you're listening to this, it might not be a huge deal, but to everybody who's watching, I just wanted to extend a sincere apology, especially to Neil and Curtis, who have to edit all this together because, oof, don't I owe them a beer. Anyway, this week is a very good one. It's just me and Aaron nattering away, talking about some of the really big news stories that have happened, and there's been loads of things happening in the wired world. So let's go to me on a psychiatry couch somewhere in a hotel room in London, and Aaron, who keeps getting cut out, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much. I hope that was okay, Curtis. Thanks. Recording this out from a hotel room, so this isn't a cry for help. I just don't have the jingle. So if you've got the jingles, can you do it? Because otherwise, I'm gonna have to be like going bam, ba bam, ba bam, ba bam, ba bam, dun 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 dun. Wired Unplugged. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wired Unplugged, episode 7. It's 7. It's me, Jake Kulkowski, and with me today, Aaron Cooper. As always, if you're watching this, if you're listening, it shouldn't be that much of a difference. But if you are watching this, you'll notice that I look like I am in, I don't know, my offshore bank account's office in the Bahamas. I'm actually in a hotel in London, but time waits for no man. So I've actually brought a scuffed setup just to record this because we have a lot of fun doing it, and I don't want a, geographical location to pin me down. So I brought my microphone and I brought my webcam, and I think I look quite clear, and I hopefully sound clear too.
You look good. You sound good.
Thank you very, very much. It looks like I'm on a psychiatry couch, and depending on what horrible news you bring to me this week, we'll see how that goes. Well, Aaron, it's good to see you. I wanted to.
And you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. We've got a busy couple of weeks ahead. We mentioned it in a couple of the Wired propaganda segments that we've got a couple of events on the way and stuff like that. And yeah, it's that season. If you're a listener of this podcast, or a viewer on YouTube, it's Wired Live. You can go and subscribe now. The subscribe wars are still active. Then you might be in the games industry, but you might just be interested. So what might interest you is the fact that it's kind of like convention season, award season. It always tends to get a bit hectic towards the end of March, right? So
it does.
So we're feeling the effects, and actually, as such, that's a fantastic segue just to go straight in to our pretty chilled out episode today. It's just me and Aaron today, by the way, hitting you up with some news and stuff like that, and some opinions. There's been quite a lot happening. But we're going to have to go into the Wired propaganda segment, I think, post-haste, because there's a lot to go through. I don't have my magical stream deck that can do all the jingles, so I have to, Wired propaganda. Thank you very much.
Propaganda.
Perfect. Aaron, thank you very much. That's really good. So, this is a Wired Productions special, and Aaron Cooper, Wired Productions, Ministry of Propaganda, is here again with some more propaganda. And there's actually quite a lot on the roster, isn't there, this week, Aaron? So what have you got for the people at home?
Hey, everyone. It's future Aaron. I'm popping in just to cover up some of the audio issues we had during the original recording, but I am from the future now. Yay! But anyway, if you listened last week, you'll know that we're having a bit of a back and forth on who can get the word subscribe into the show as much as possible. I'm obviously going to win. So I started off the show with this banger for Jake, and the question was, hey Jake, what do you call a werewolf YouTuber? The answer, a like and subscribe. Anyway, back to Jake.
That first of all good.
Find new ways to get them in.
You know what? I'm gonna have to really start because I get to just go the super straight route of reminding the people at home the same things. You can help shape the podcast by emailing in Unplugged at Wired Productions, or tweet us at Wired P for Productions, or you can subscribe. This is the Wired propaganda segment, beautifully covered by you. We're a cover band this episode, and there's some stuff going on. But I guess we'll start with the kind of the recurring propaganda segment that we've had on for the last 3 weeks since we found out about PAX. So Aaron, can you remind the folks at home what's going on at PAX?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a panel at PAX, and we are going to be doing this live. We have some very special guests that have been on the show before, some that haven't, and we are going to be talking about the family of Wired from a business point of view in terms of how, our dev partners aren't dev partners. They actually do come into the family. It gives us... we work in interesting ways, and the familial relationships kind of makes the process a little better. You can have heated debates without falling out, but also more importantly, the love is there. And actually there's a point that we'll talk about later that kind of factors into something around this and how we try and do the best for our developer friends and family. So
that's cool.
But we're going to be doing a panel April 22nd, which is the Friday.
Yep.
Just a Friday at the Arachnid Theatre. So come and watch us do this live. It'll be great.
Yeah, exactly. And we got a fair few of us coming in. It's not going to be just a Jake and Aaron special.
Some good
I hope there is a sofa. Let's get that out of the way. It'll be comfortable. So maybe not this one.
You just perched.
Yeah, exactly.
Paint me. Hey everyone, future me again. At this point, essentially, I talked to Jake that I have seen the PAX stand, the stand that we're going to be taking to PAX, and it is huge. It's absolutely massive. And in this pie, I also mentioned that Steve, who's on the last episode, aka Bob Packer, there was a photo that was sent internally where he stood next to the stand being built as a practice run. And Steve is not a small guy. He's quite tall. And he looks like a hobbit next to the stand. Like, seriously, he is an ant. And this is actually going to be our biggest stand that we've ever taken to PAX. So it's going to be incredible. So come along, help us build it. Why not? We need hands. Come help us build it. We'll give you a pass. If you are interested, do email us, because you never know. But then we also move on to the fact that at PAX, we're going to have an unannounced game that we're taking to the show, and we'll be able to talk about that a bit more soon. That's coming up. But then when it comes to WASD as well, which is taking place, it's taking place next week. The end of next week at Tobacco Docks. It's going to be great. We talk about some of the games that we're going to have, and you would have heard this on the last couple of episodes as well, but we've got Lumo, the Mastermote Chronicles, Tin Heart, Arcade Paradise, and Martha is Dead. So you can come along, you can meet some of the people that made these games, have a talk about game development and get into the nitty gritty, and actually just play some games and have some fun. It's going to be a blast, so do make sure you come along. And anyway, let's go back to Jake.
So just at the beginning of the podcast I mentioned that it's the gears start turning, and here we go. We're getting into the sort of the show season, and PAX is, it's a very pivotal one, I think, for the industry, because it's the first really, 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 really big one. I mean, we mentioned actually last week that Wired aren't just going to PAX, though. There's one a little bit closer to home, both literally and figuratively. In the next,
we're going to WASD.
Yeah, exactly. WASD, WASD, the gamer letters. WASD is it was like born from the ashes of EGX Resd, which I guess is why everyone's
love that show.
It's WASD, yeah, and it's one in Tobacco Docks in London.
Same venue.
And that's exactly so. We've got the same venue that people know and mostly love. To be honest, there's loads and loads of games there. They got like 80, 90 playable titles there, something like that now, and. It's not too far from Wired HQ. Well, closer than Boston, that's for sure.
A little bit, yeah. But with traffic, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be at WASD. That is next week, April 7th to 9th. The games that I just mentioned that we have at PAX are also going to be there. Not the unannounced title, though, unfortunately. It's a little something for the PAX folks.
Yeah, perfect. So that's what's going on in IRL. But what else is happening for the people who are maybe whilst IRL? Yeah, exactly. Whilst Dural. Yeah.
Wazderl. What else is going on? So today, Friday, Deliver Us the Moon has launched on Stadia Pro.
Today?
You can play it right now. Today, which is Friday, when this goes out.
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Of course, I wasn't.
You're like, oh my god, there's some work to.
Huh?
You're like,
yeah, Deliver Us to the Moon. So yeah, just a few episodes back. You hopefully got the full context. If maybe this is the first episode you're listening to, or maybe you joined us for the last one. Go back a couple of episodes and listen to the stories of the brothers Deepman while they tell you about Deliver Us to the Moon. And Deliver Us to the Moon's really a passion project for these two, right? It was very, very close to their heart, and it's a game that's been built up as time goes, which is more common now than ever. But if maybe you haven't played it since it came out, the Stadia version will look a lot different. They have added ray tracing and things like that since it was first there. So yes, and Stadia.
Kaoken and the Demons are absolutely wonderful, as you now know, and everyone that listened and watched this now knows. But there's some good content from way back in the day where they talk about their journey into Deliver Us the Moon, and they spoke about on the previous episode as well. About their granddad and so on, and how they got intrigued by space travel and the moon, which is amazing. But actually, as part of Deliver Us the Moon launching on Stadia Pro, there is also a special Wired Live episode which is dedicated to Deliver Us the Moon, so you can get an inside scoop on the creation of the game and talk with the devs and so on. But I mentioned earlier about Wired as family, and in terms of bringing people on board that share similar loves and passions, and people that you can actually work with closely like a family. The Deepmans are them, and their whole team actually. There's a very nice story, as they already said, about how Deliver Us the Moon got brought into Wired, and that went on to be incredibly successful. It was a really successful game, and praise to the team. But in the spirit of family, we're also proud to be a part of what is next for them. I don't know if you were watching the Future Game Show last week.
I was watching the Future Game Show,
yeah. Kaoken announced Deliver Us Mars, which is a sequel to Deliver Us the Moon. Now, that is something that is coming from our friends over at Frontier. And we still talk to the Deepmans and everyone over at Kaoken, and we're on friendly terms, and behind the scenes, if you can see all the Skype chats, emails and stuff, everyone's been supportive to say, okay, how do we make this game have the moment that you deserve, because this is still a part of our family, but it's what's next, and this was the genesis and this is the new journey. So we've been very collaborative with them, working with Frontier. The really beautiful thing there is they would have mentioned that Alistair Hibbard, who used to be at Wired, was a key person of bringing that to the table in terms of a game that Wired should take.
Yeah.
He actually now works at Frontier, so he gets to work with the Deepmans again,
which is
great.
There's a continuity there, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and never burn your bridges.
Lo, a great beast descended from the heavens and spat fire directly at the hosts. Jake valiantly stepped in front of Aaron, raising his shield, deflecting the flame back at the creature. It perished. They were victorious. And then they sat down to talk about Wired Black Label. As you would have known, Wired Black Label, which is a series of very special premium collector's editions for games that we've released previously as a celebration to the developer talent. Due to Brexit, COVID, the global situation, production was delayed, but we're happy to announce that we're back on track. And whilst we can't share a specific date with you, we are talking a matter of weeks now. It's no longer months. So we're in a position to start showing you a bit more of those, and also start shipping orders very soon, and we'll have more details soon. The very, very cool, exciting point here, though, is that number 3 of Black Label is also set to be announced, and also
it won't be shipping too long after it's announced either. So look forward to that. And if you stay true to Wired on at WiredP on Twitter, there'll be more announcements coming soon. So I look forward to them. Sorry, Dragon.
The goodies inside, because they are absolutely beautiful. And their uniform as well. So they form a proper collection stacked up next to each other and so on.
That's one of the things I really like the most. It's like I've got older and started buying books. You know what I mean?
Same.
Books that I've already read. So why am I spending loads of money? Like, like there's this manga called Berserk, I'm getting the deluxe editions, and it's like 400 quid for the whole set. And I'm just, but it's that little premium collection, and it looks good on the shelf, and I just love it. And I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Little set.
Like I've read you. I'm not going to read you, but damn, you look good.
Yeah.
Enjoy sitting on my shelf.
Exactly. Yeah.
People will know what I like now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But they can touch the old ones. The global situation going on right now, and with the people of Ukraine and Russia. And just to preface this, this is more of an FU to Putin and not Russia as a people. We have people that work at Wired who are from Russia, who have family in Ukraine or are descended from people in Ukraine. So, this isn't a fuck Russia. This is Putin. Stop the war, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I said it.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing. That's not going to help. But what we have done to help the people of Ukraine is we joined together with all of our developer partners, again, going back to family. And collectively, we've managed to raise $75,000, which is going to support those affected with what's going on right now. That's going to be split up between Red Cross, UNICEF, and the MSF.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to do something to help the situation and help those people that are being displaced and that are having to endure this very hard time. There is one thing that I do want to read, and I'm going to turn here to read it because it was a part of a statement that was put out by Wired as a collective. Just to announce that we've added to this fund. So this is the message, and I'll read it verbatim. The games industry has rallied hard, but also the world has come together to help. Imagine that energy put to use across many different causes. We as the world's people can make a real difference. Life is precious. It is. We should be nurturing and not destroying. What is happening in Ukraine is a crime. Maybe when this disaster is over, we can all focus on the many other disasters and atrocities happening around the world. Together we are stronger, and there is hope in humanity. Peace and love to all, Wired and friends.
Yeah. Very admirable message.
Yeah. Essentially, I think, this is me talking as me, I think people have forgotten that peace, unfortunately, is a luxury. And a luxury that is being squandered gradually across many different areas and instances going on in the world. And, we should be looking to preserve peace. And in a lot of instances of things that are happening around the world in different ways, they say the Legend of Zelda says that time is like a river. Eventually it repeat itself, because it flies around. But that's true as well. And I think, we need to learn from past mistakes, make those learnings stick, and anything outside of that should be called out and put to rest.
Yeah.
That's my own personal. Sorry, this is now the dark episode. But
no, it's good. It's very pro. It's very Miss World, isn't it? Very pro peace. Yeah, that's not dark. Miss World competition. It's not that dark. It's positive.
Sash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're absolutely right, and I think and I certainly hope that people listening are in agreement. So yeah, bravo to you, and bravo to Wired and the developers partners for that. And this concludes Wired Propaganda. Again, Neil, the editor, if you're listening, it'd be great to put a jingle in. If not, you've just left this in. The people at home are going to have to hear us do it. Can you do this one, Aaron? You remember this one?
I remember.
It goes, doof, 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 and then it goes, news we stole from Google. It does that little up thing. But It's not just Google, so I just, I could have changed it there, but I wanted to stay true to the original source material. I'm not trying to be I'm not a video game movie. I was trying to be a good adaptation, okay? So this is the part of the show where we talk externally from Wired, and we talk about some of the big game and news stories. And oh my gosh, the day of recording, we're recording this on Tuesday. We actually normally record this on a Wednesday. And not that much happens on a Wednesday, apart from me and Aaron record this. To be honest, Tuesday is a day, typically lots of game launches or big
Lots
bombshells.
of press releases sent out as well.
Exactly.
Monday's a no-go, Friday's a no-go.
So so go on then, Aaron. What bombshells landed on
Mate, there is a massive bombshell that has it's affected me deep. But also it hasn't, because I've got a lot to keep me occupied. But just before we press record, Nintendo announced that the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, its official name at the moment, has been delayed to spring 2023.
which is about a year away at the time of recording. In case
now, don't get me
people are listening
wrong.
to this in the future.
Don't get me wrong. Like, all the time that they need to make that game as magical as the first, and if they want to surpass it, I'm just like, take the time. We are not going hungry for game experiences. We've spoke before, we're both playing Elden Ring.
I think that's why it's been delayed a little bit. I think the developers of Breath of the Wild 2 are playing Elden Ring and going, oh shit.
Which is actually, it's not that they're concerned, it's just they have all booked a lot of time off
That's what I mean. They're like, okay, we really need the time. But funnily enough, actually, this is just to talk on this. Elden Ring surprised people. Didn't surprise me for one bit. As a Souls fanboy, I knew it was going to be this good. But for a lot of people, they're going, "This is the best game I've played since Breath of the Wild." So, in case in case you're unaware, in case you live under a rock, that's where the bar for Breath of the Wild is. It's there. It's like Elden Ring is one of the highest rated games of all time, and people are going, it's like Breath of the Wild. So yeah, exactly. I'm sure everybody is expecting a lot from this. Do you know I had a conversation 2 days before this recording? I had like a very combative wager with a friend of mine. She said Breath of the Wild's going to be delayed and it'll come out on the new Switch, and I was like, no, it's not. Like, really arrogantly as well, like, no, it's not. What are you on about? Like, it's not going to be part of a new Switch. And she's like, yeah, it is. And then here it is being delayed, and I can't help but wonder if those two things go hand in hand. Just before we recorded, you brought that up as well, didn't you?
Listen, I mean, to be fair, before the Switch OLED, OLED, Earl, WASD,
old.
Before the old came out, there were all the rumors about a Switch Pro.
Yes. Yep.
And since then, there was elaboration that because of the chip shortage due to the global situation, COVID, Brexit, and so on, maybe not so much Brexit, but that there had to be some middle ground met in some fashion. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is such thing as a Switch Pro, and that this is being put back to launch alongside that.
It's a system seller for sure, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, Breath of the Wild, right? That game was a port of the Wii U version, right?
It was, yeah. Not many people know that, actually, did they, really? So, yeah. Not the normies, anyway.
Not the normies. Interesting fact. But if you think about that, they would want to do something a little extra to show off the capabilities of the system in terms of what Switch can do, right? Because Nintendo experiences usually do push things to the limit.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
If you watch the last trailer that was released for the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it looked so good that something seemed a bit suspicious, in my opinion.
I see. No, that's true. Well, I know what you mean. Like, Switch, Nintendo optimized their games so well. Like, there's, I don't mean to like besmirch their name, although it's not exactly in the highest regard at the moment. But CD Projekt Red's The Witcher 3, another one of the best games I've made, ran not very good, let's say. Well, it was playable, so that in itself is a miracle. Let's get that right. But a 540p Geralt, and then you play, I don't know, even that new Kirby. Look at those graphics. Mario Odyssey is just, oh my god. So I know that they're going to come out swinging with this. Some of the games look absolutely fantastic, and I just think, it's been a fair few years. One thing that wasn't a surprise though is I kind of knew it was going to be delayed a little bit because it was supposed to be out this winter or holiday season, whatever. But they just dropped the bomb that Pokemon is coming out, right? So
yes.
They wouldn't release Pokemon and Zelda next to each other because they are both huge in their own right. So that's how the conversation I had a couple of days ago started, because she said, like, when's Breath of the Wild out? And I was like, well, it won't be this year anymore, will it? Because of Pokemon. And then it was like, well, when will it be? And then so I would assume, but I would have assumed it would have been next Christmas, right? Like holiday 2023. So a spring Breath of the Wild, which is when, not to try and stoke the flames of rumordom here, but March is a good time to release a console before the end of the business year. When was it when the Switch came out? Feb? 27th of Feb, I think it was.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was.
So, interesting. Breath of the Wild too, but you know what? It gives.
I'm excited for the game. Can't wait to play it. Gonna be great. However, I did buy a Switch OLED.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how I feel about buying a Pro. Do you know? Like it hasn't been here for a long time, and I do wonder how. I mean, to be fair, if they come out and they say, "Hey, this game is going to play so much better on this one," then I'm like, "Yeah, all right, fine, I'm sold." But I wonder what's going to go on there.
I know what you mean. Actually, just personally, I've never really subscribed to the half-step console generation stuff. Like I was towards the end of the PS4 generation, all my friends had the Pro, and had done for a couple of years at that point, and I just never did. I didn't even get a slim version of the 360 or whatever. Even back to the PlayStation 1, I didn't have the PS1. I just had the PlayStation. So with Switch, I've held off. My daughter's actually got the Switch Lite, and
they're nice.
But can I make this a quick confession whilst I'm on the psychiatry couch?
Yeah.
This is really bad, okay? And it's
Tell
okay.
me your woe.
It's okay for you to judge me and the people at home. And if you want to write any sort of condolences, maybe you'll like me. Before I tell you what it is, I'll just remind you that you can email in at unplugged@wiredproductions.com, and you can air your grievances with me, or you can help console me for what I'm about to tell you. I sit on my computer all day for my job. And I'm a big fan of the PlayStation, and I have a PlayStation, and it takes center stage in my house, and that's my go-to place. I do, however, love my Nintendo Switch. I often use it for traveling and stuff like that. And I don't know why, but I don't think I've ever played in my own home it docked, first of all. And here's the real thing that's going to annoy everybody. And I can tell you this, I love music. I play the Switch on mute for some reason. I think it's normally because I'm playing it whilst my wife's watching some crap on the telly that I don't want to watch, or my daughters are watching Peppa Pig or something. Most of the time, when I'm traveling, I'll play the Switch whilst I'm waiting for my headphones to charge, because I have wireless headphones, apart from not now. Normally I do, but when I'm in between listening to music. So do you know what's really weird for me? I play my Switch like an absolute rat bag. I have no audio and I never dock it. So I probably could have done with a Switch Lite, to be honest. You see what I mean? So the OLEDs, I saw them and I thought they look cool, and it'll be better to have it handheld because the screen's a bit bigger. But otherwise, I feel like I'm not even making the most of the Switch, to be honest. So, would I get a new one? Yeah, but it would have to do a lot. It'd have to do a lot.
I'm going to quickly say two things. We've spent so long on this, and we've got lots to talk about. But there are two things that I do want to raise. One of the things that is quite sad and unfortunate about the iteration on Switch, in terms of the Switch and Switch OLED and the Switch Lite, is that, with the Switch Lite, you lose a lot of the cool functionalities that were originally introduced on Switch, like the HD Rumble
Joy-Con stuff,
and all of that stuff, which is a shame because it means that it can't really ever be a predominantly featured mechanic in a game, right?
Yeah.
Second point, final point. I would go for a Switch upgrade. I would subscribe, to a Switch Pro, a hypothetical Switch Pro. If what they did was they made it so that what you actually do is purchase a new dock, and that dock holds the power to play with additional benefits on your TV. That is something that I could get on board with.
So you could use your existing Switch and like give it a boost, which is I think that used to happen back in the olden days, didn't it?
Yeah.
You could add can you add like a CD to some sort of like Sega system once or something?
Yeah, Sega CD.
Yeah. I wonder whatever happened to that. Maybe we can find the Sega CD expert to bring on. Speaking of Sega, yeah, thank you very much. I'm not good on the subscribe department. Not as good as your creative combinations, but I'm trying to do a segue, and a lot of
It's what matters most.
Thank you. What have we got, and how is it related to Sega? Please, God, hope it's related to Sega, or else it's all for nothing.
It's not.
God damn.
Sorry, mate. No, it is. So Sonic Movie 2 launches next week. It's very exciting. I'm looking forward to watching it. Some very lucky people went to go to watch the film in advance at some early screenings that took place at the start of this week / end of last weekend and last week.
Oh yeah.
And the overall consensus is it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Good.
It's great.
I think I can't remember if we spoke about this a little bit before. Maybe it was off recording, but I seem to remember feeling a lot of camaraderie with you when you mentioned that the Green Hill Zone orchestral version was powerful. Because the Green Hill Zone to me is a banger, and you know what? Yeah, I took my daughter to see Sonic, thinking it was going to be really bad, and I loved it. I loved Jim Carrey in it, and we all left there going, and it has a really cool post credit scene, which this is that, and it's adds one of my favorite characters in there. So it's already becoming a bit of a. We're looking at a whole Sonic verse. We're going to get Sonic Adventure Battle 2, but in a movie apparently over the next 3 years. Rouge the Bat, like 8-part miniseries or something. Big the Cat. Yeah. A fishing documentary. Yeah, I'd watch that.
On Netflix or something. Disney Plus, sorry.
Exactly.
Or wherever it is.
Yeah,
Paramount Plus. Sorry, forgive me.
Yeah.
But I would watch that.
That's what I mean. So we've already fell into the trap.
Big the Cat just angling with like Robson and Jerome or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good reference as well. That's a really good reference. So it's good to see the positive reviews as well because you can't help but wonder if it was a fluke the first time. To be completely honest, and I'm not saying that in a cynical way. I'm saying that in the sense that often a video game movie adaptation is critiqued by everybody. It's confusing, isn't it? Because you have to make it so it's for the fans, and at the same time it has to appeal to a mainstream audience. Actually, at another red carpet event this week, can't remember what it was. Oh, Moon Knight it was. Oscar Isaac was questioned about the Metal Gear Solid movie, which he is starring in as Solid Snake. Did you know that?
What?
Did you know this?
What? No.
Okay, well, Oscar Isaac is going to be playing Solid Snake in a Metal Gear Solid adaptation by Jordan Vogt-Roberts, who did the King Kong's or Kong Skull Island and stuff like that. Yeah. And he's actually been working alongside Hideo Kojima to make it it's going to be and he Oscar Isaac.
Kojima's loving that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, imagine him at the Oscars. So look, and we won't even talk about the Oscars. Let's not do it. No, let's not. But I'll tell you what. He mentioned specifically on the red carpet. He was saying we're looking. I think he said some cheesy quote like we're crawling and searching like Solid Snake through an aqueduct or something. He actually did say something like Solid Snake in an event. He said, and he was saying that it's because they want to make the most hardcore version for the fans. Like actually adds on to the original story. But then how does that have mainstream appeal? So with Sonic, though, I think the mainstream appeal is the fact that he's quite a lovable mascot and there's not that much going on, is there? He's collecting rings, trying to get rid of some, egg-headed robot lover. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So not a robot lover, a lover of robots. Although, isn't there like some sort of Metal Sonic? So, yeah.
Gotta go fast.
Well, so Sonic 2. I'm glad that that's something and that's very cool. Yeah, it's good that the feedback's good on that, because again, it could have easily been a one-hit wonder, right? The first one and then Mr. Mark. So I think the next bit of news that we've got, Aaron, is actually like the biggest, but I don't know if I'm being biased. So
No. I think you're right. So this
get
new
comfy,
bullet point-
get comfy, everybody.
Get comfy, sit back, lie back on your couch, Jake.
Okay.
No. So this week started off with rumors surrounding that Sony have a very, very big week ahead of them for announcements. The rumor at the start of the week was that they are going to announce potentially a Game Pass competitor from their side, and alongside that, a new trademark had been filed for NAC.
Is that real?
That's real. That's true.
I thought you were joking.
No. That's legit.
Oh yeah, NAC baby.
Don't know how to feel about that. But on the NAC point and trademarks are always updated, just so that you can keep ownership and so on. But something that happened just before we started recording again, much like the a sequel to The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Thank you.
Announcement. That's factually correct. PlayStation have announced their what people considered to be their Game Pass rival. It's an evolution of their current service, I would say. PlayStation Now.
It's like an amalgamation of like,
Plus.
Yeah, exactly. It's the two services that they offer separately, combined, and then I actually can't tell in the small print if there's additional stuff or if it's just they've really cherry picked the features and made it sound like new and exciting. So should we run through what these things actually are?
Yeah, we'll go into this. And I think the best.
As he sleuthed around the office, something immediately became clear. There was something very different about his voice. Yes, again, mic issues. But at this point, we spoke about some of the fine details of the newly revealed PlayStation Package subscription service, which comes in 3 tiers. So Tier 1 is the PS Plus Essentials, which is the standard PS Plus subscription that you all know and love and probably use. The second tier to this is PlayStation Plus Extra, which essentially gives you all the joys and love of what you get with PlayStation Plus. But adds a library of over 400 downloadable games for users to download, which is it's a massive backlog. It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. 400 games that you can just choose to download at will. The good thing is that this will include some first-party titles, but also third-party titles are going to be included in this, so you can look for some of your favorite games coming in there as well. And then the third tier is PS Plus Premium. So that gets you everything above that we mentioned, but also adds 350 games, additional games to that 400, which includes PS3 games as well that you can play via the cloud. So via streaming, so if you've got a good internet connection, you get some good access to good classic games, which is cool. But you also get access to a catalogue of classic games as well, which is for both streaming and download, which is all the way back from the PlayStation, PS2 and PSP era. No Vita, unfortunately, which is what have you. I mean, to be fair, it's a lot of games anyway. And, if I can head back and play Driver or Hearts of Darkness, then I'm pretty much sold. The big thing that we do discuss as well is that Sony have said that this isn't going to include... similar to the Microsoft situation where some of their first-party games get released on Game Pass day and date with the physical and the digital. That's not going to be the case with this service. So, it sounds like a healthy package, and it'll be interesting to see what people get out of it and hear more about what people think about it. So anyway, we're going to throw back to Jake.
Everything it's worth. So
did I milk that during that? If I said subscription a lot, subscribe.
I just wanted to make this very clear to the voices above. So I'm just going to make an address to the camera right now. It could have been a lot worse. All right, it could have been a lot worse. There could have been loads of so, but I'm not going to mention subscribe, and all that. I will say this though. I looked at some stats. I gathered some I always do this. You always come in with the heat, and I get like some pub trivia crap. Here's my pub trivia crap for you this time. There's like 50 million subscribers to PlayStation services. 95% of the subscribers that subscribe to a PlayStation service are subscribing to PlayStation Plus. Only 5% of that are bothered about PlayStation Now. So if you're not a PlayStation Now user, there's not really that much of well, certainly the numbers show it, and anecdotally, I feel like I don't really have much of a interest in it. But by cleverly reshuffling some of the features and giving these little bits of additional drops, like there are some other features there, aren't there? Like there's you access, how EA has that thing where you can access games early. Well, they're giving you trials to
trials.
Yeah, exactly. So they've just managed to like move and shuffle things around more that it might persuade you to go in for the. It works out $120 a year for the highest tier, which is the same price as if you right now bought PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now for a year. So you see, it's a very clever little thing with that. But to me, the big appeal here, which is this, not a silly way of looking at it, but certainly a backwards way of looking at it, is I'm really interested in playing the games I played years ago again on my PlayStation 5. So these PlayStation games to download.
You and your books all over again.
Exactly. This is what I mean. This is how they get you. Nostalgia, baby. So what are those? Because there's in fact, we mentioned it last week. There's a plethora of PlayStation titles that you can play them on Steam. But I want to play Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 on my PlayStation, and you can't do that. You can play the Silent Hill collection on PS Now, streamed only. So my question really to Sony is, and if you're listening, Jim Ryan, you can email in at unplugged@wiredproductions.com or tweet us at wiredp, P for production, or PlayStation. And answer me this, mate, okay? Are those games that are available half to download, half to stream, just the same as the PlayStation Now lineup, or are there going to be additions? Like, can I download Ape Escape 2? Answer me that, Jim. Aaron, if you could, I don't know, resurface a classic from there, is there anything that, I guess, I don't know, if you're not as keen on the PlayStation as I, then maybe you don't have any off the top of your head, but is there any sort of like weird like little PlayStation 1 games that you'd like to see? I don't know, Tombi or Monster Seed or something?
I mean, we're getting Klonoa again, rebirthed.
Yeah.
I would have said Klonoa. But I think the Bouncer on PS2.
That is a hell of a game. Okay, go on, yeah.
Or the original Driver on PS1.
Do you know what, yeah? I was going to say Driver when you said the Bouncer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know I got stuck on Driver because like the first like...
Because the tutorial in the garage is ridiculously hard.
Yeah, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Because there's certain things like before the internet was like a big discussion board and that. I went through some things where I didn't know if it was just me. Like, I don't know what the hell a slalom is. I'm 7.
Mate, I was just about to say, what the hell's a slalom? What does that mean to like a 7-year-old kid or whatever it was?
I love it. I love that this is happening. Yeah, this is what I'm on about.
Slalom, is that some meat?
I was young. I don't know what a slalom is. So I remember going downstairs and asking my mum, who can't drive, still can't drive. I can drive now, she can't. Mum, what's a slalom? Don't know. All right, cool. Well, I can't even Google it at that point in my life. So yeah, I remember watching a friend of mine playing Driver, and it looked like playing GTA, but as a law-abiding citizen. Yeah, for the most part. And
the Getaway. I would love to play that as well again.
Okay. There's some I'd like to see some of these JRPGs and stuff like that. Shadow Hearts. I'd like that.
Yeah.
Give me all the tenchies, please. Yeah. So
Hearts of Darkness on PS1.
Right. No, listen, this is getting spooky now, right? This is getting spooky, and I almost feel bad saying this in a public forum because, like, apart from me and you, no one would care that much. But you just mentioned the Bouncer, and I was going to say Driver. Then you said Slalom. I was thinking, remember I was just on about a mate of mine who was playing Driver. I went around his house once, we played Driver. Then he showed me that game, Heart of Darkness. You play as this
So
little
bloody
kid,
good.
and there's all these like slimy little creatures and that.
Do you know? I think the closer we are together geographically, the more connected we are. Usually, you're up in Wales,
Yeah,
and now you're in London.
it's
you're
like
just stone's throw away.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like Harry Potter and Voldemort, but not volatile. Do you know what I mean? I can sense you.
It's the nice version.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you know, like, yeah, that's spooky. That's really spooky. But so the PlayStation 1 era games, I'm particularly interested in, and I'm interested to see how it fares. I haven't, it's so fresh, Aaron, that we haven't even had a chance to really look at the public sentiment. What are people saying about it? Who knows? Like, so we've got this fresh.
We got it fresh, and it's going to be interesting to see more information come out. But also,
Final interruption. I promise, and then we'll get back to the show good and proper. So at this point, when we had more mic difficulties, I just mentioned to Jake that what could be a cool thing with the trials part of the service in terms of game trials, that's part of the PlayStation subscription, would be if Sony could find a way to bring this to key moments like E3 and Gamescom and things like that, when new announcements are being made, that those people that are signed up to this tier could potentially get to play those show floor demos, or what would usually be show floor demos at E3 and so on, right in the comfort of their own home. It could be a very interesting USP for the service, and I think there's a lot of people that can't travel to E3, that don't get the opportunities to go to these shows as media or attendees, to be able to experience what that is like and get a small taste of those exciting announcements right off the bat. And I think Jake was excited too. But anyway, back to the rest of the show.
You're dead right.
Could be interesting.
That's really, really cool, and it's something to focus on, because that's the thing, I suppose, as like, people who play games grows like enormously. Like, these events still do feel like just a small segment of, the representation of like gamers as a whole or whatever. So you're dead right, and like they do that to some extent. We saw State of Play. When was it? Episode 3 or 4? We mentioned it, and I think it's episode 3. Like, and they had. It was with Ash Paulson, number 5. And we had the Stranger of Paradise or Final Fantasy spin-off, the Chaos one. I was gonna say, I just don't want to keep calling it the Chaos one, but it's the Chaos one, isn't it? It was that. It was like out, available to download right now, and I think that, but like time limited events and stuff like that. Elden Ring did it, didn't it? Elden Ring did it in November. They had a network test for like 3 hours and stuff like that. And I think it's something that Sony do particularly well, and that's why that's what I'm interested in, seeing what the people at home are saying, because the one thing about Game Pass that's doing really well, and people I don't think are giving it the credit for this, is it's pretty agnostic in terms of like what device. If you've got Game Pass, you can play xCloud games on your phone, on your PC, on your Xbox. With your PlayStation, it's your PlayStation. So it's like they have to come out. So I really hope they've done some work behind the scenes to get some of the games that are just currently like unplayable and bringing them to the forefront, because to those who are listening at home, you might not know, but PlayStation 3 is made on this really weird chip,
the cell processor.
That's it. So you have to stream a PlayStation 3 game, you can't really convert them. And the one thing that the Xbox was doing last generation that the PlayStation wasn't, it was really smart, was it was slowly adding backwards compatibility the whole time. And then Game Pass is now looking ahead, but they've got this huge horde of older games. So it's really, really interesting to see. So that's massive news, and it could be interesting to see if it goes catastrophic or it's a huge success. And I think we always want to root for the success of anybody making a decision like that. So looking forward to finding out. So that's a big one. I think there's something else you've got on the news today before we wrap up this.
That was my Kirby-suck.
That's quite I'll tell you what. That's quite a decent noise. Yeah, that's
that
good.
come across.
I hope this doesn't become the clip that they put on Twitter. So please God. So
it's happening.
So Kirby's
launched. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and it is number 1 in the UK. And it is the biggest launch that I've written down here that the pink globule has ever had. So it is the most successful launch that Kirby has ever had in the UK, which is great. And considering it's the first 3D Kirby adventure game, that's a massive thing, because there's a really interesting interview. These type of things used to happen when Satoru Iwata was still alive and at Nintendo, where he would do his Iwata Asks interviews, which were really cool with the developers. And some of those interviews have started to happen again. It's not Iwata's Asks, obviously, because that would be they'd be very spooky. But essentially, they've been trying to make Kirby transition to 3D for about 20 years, and they've never found the right formula to make it happen. And you'll see that there's been 3D Kirby games announced in the past, even way back in the N64 days, that just were cancelled. They just didn't see the light of day. And there was a very interesting thing that I saw on Twitter, which was from a behind the scenes video of Kirby. And Kirby is meant to be an introduction for people into platformers, right? For kids to get into platformers, learn everything about it, and hook them into Mario, which could be next, and so on. But it's very cute. That's not what was said, but essentially the game, 3D games can be slightly more challenging to play, right?
Absolutely.
It's a bit different from going left to right on a screen and jumping. You have a 3D space, and the language of the world and the art has to talk to you to give you the information you need to do what you do. One clever thing they did was, in the game, Kirby can take on powers of other creatures that he absorbs, right?
Yep.
So there was one instance where you swallow an enemy and then you get this boomerang, and you can throw the boomerang to hit enemies that are in front of you. But because aiming for kids can be considered to be a bit tough in 3D, what they did was, instead of calculating where the boomerang hits, they calculated Kirby's position, the enemy's position, and the camera position. And much like in movies, if it looks like it should hit, the game will register that it hits. So if the child or the player thinks that from where the camera is, this should technically hit, if it looks like it should hit, it will hit the character. And they do this cool thing where they take a dev camera and they put it over the top of the attack, and you can see that the enemy is actually over here, Kirby's here, the projectile's going that way. But because the camera's here, it looks like it hits, so they register that it hits. And this is I just thought it was so clever, though, because if you think about the complexities of game design, the logical thing in your head would be, okay, I will program the projectile to register that it hits the enemy, right? And when that happens, so on and so forth. But to then take that challenge and say, I'm going to calculate the player position based on the camera, it just brings this whole thing, and it looks, it's something that is an ease to make the game more accessible for new players. But the calculations and the way the mind, it's like, wow, that is so cool.
And you know what? It's, first of all, that's great trivia. So well done for bringing that in. Second of all, it's a very thankless task, that, isn't it? There's loads of these minor details. Like, I heard another classic one about, Halo, when you run out of your shield and you're on your last bit of health. You've got just as much health as when you've got a full shield, but it just gives you that sense of urgency and that beeping and stuff. But and so it makes you feel like a badass when you've managed to survive. And there's all these little details, like stuff like that, cool. And a lot of psychology and things like that. There's that classic thing of the Gears of War run is absolutely, it's something like 20% faster. That's it. But because it makes the camera go, like it adds a little vignette. So I love details like that, and I especially love details like that when they're factored into making players' experiences more, giving them a more. A feeling of more agency, and not being completely because these are the things that when we grew up with video games, when they were literally stuff like that, if you were a pixel out, there'd be no forgiveness. But then since I think Fable 2 started really going, okay, you don't die, your orbs just fall out and then you can go and get them back. That was not a very good Peter Molyneux impression, but gosh.
I like the idea that you would just have a Peter Molyneux impression perfected in your backlog somewhere. It's
hey, watch this space.
Don't be sorry.
If you do have a really good Peter Molyneux impression, you can email the podcast in at unplugged@wiredproductions.com or tweet us at wiredp, P for Peter Molyneux. And I really do like the idea of hearing someone's Peter Molyneux impression. Thank you very much. So yeah, Kirby being number one is interesting because it isn't an IP that I imagine is like, I don't know, like, do you know what, like, I only know Kirby
it's
from
second tier, right? It's like a tertiary. I mean, Kirby
Yes.
as a character is popular as a mascot, and I
Yeah.
think Smash Brothers probably helped solidify that.
That's what I was
mainly
gonna say.
because Masahiro Sakurai always treated Kirby as the main character because he worked at Hell,
yeah.
who made Kirby. Well, actually, sorry, he is the father of Kirby. He designed Kirby, and it was
Right. Okay.
But I think Smash Brothers has helped propel Kirby
Absolutely,
into the limelight.
Kirby always stands out when you're looking at the Smash covers and stuff like that. And like, I know this is going to sound stupid and like some sort of like complete, but like, it's so clever to make a literal ball an iconic character. Like, that's a ballsy move, but they've pulled it off. If you see a pink ball, it's Kirby. Like, if you see red and white in a ball, you're like, it's a Pokeball. Like, tiny little decisions like that. So but yeah, like, you know, the last time that I saw something like this that Nintendo did that surprised me was Fire Emblem. Like, Three Houses did way better than I thought it was going to be. It was my first Fire Emblem game, and this Kirby one, it's just, yeah, it's a nice surprise. So yeah, that's really cool that it's done so well. And I don't know, that honestly, hell of an impression. So.
That's no Peter Molyneux.
Yeah. So look, that's the news for the week. Like I say, we're prepping for the big weeks ahead. You heard in the Wired propaganda section, we've got WASD next week. So are you at WASD?
I'm not WASDing because I am off for my birthday.
Oh well. First of all, I'll say happy birthday on the day, but I'm at WASD, so if anyone listening wants to come say hello, and maybe record a voice note to Aaron on my phone that will WhatsApp to him, you can do that. And then we're at PAX a week later. So yeah, thank you everybody, and hopefully this wasn't too much of a sort of scuffed, unorthodox episode here on the psychiatry couch and things like that, but we didn't want to miss a week. So yeah, and thank you, Aaron, for bringing the goods. Really, you know, I mean, your back mistake from carrying this one. So thank you, and like I say, and this is, you know, not for the subscribe wars, but just to remind everybody, if you're listening this far, all the way to the end, thank you so much for just doing that. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind just taking a little bit of extra time to just give us a little nice star rating, or, you know, a like or a comment if you're on YouTube. But you're probably listening on an audio device, really. It seems to be that's the most popular place to listen to these podcasts so far. So yeah, you know, it's pretty easy. Just finding the menu, you can give it a little. Don't have to write us a really long review. Just give us 5 stars and just put a smiley face, or just write Kirby sound. That'd be good too. Yep. And you know, we've actually, by the way, I just want to give you one last update. I've banked quite a few emails from the unplugged@wiredproductions.com inbox. There's been about 5 really like good questions. So if you'd like to send some questions in, round that nice number up, we could do a little special segment in one of the podcasts where we just go through some of the questions, because actually, Aaron, that's what they've mostly been. They've been questions. So if you are, and this is not a joke, if you are genuinely interested in sending a question in, it's unplugged, like Wired Unplugged, at Wired, like Wired Productions, Productions, like wiredproductions.com. That's unplugged at wiredproductions.com. Or if you like Twitter and you want to air your dirty laundry in public, it's at Wired P for Productions. Aaron, thank you very, very much for joining me for our
My pleasure.
Our one-on-one session. Okay, thank you for this. I'm allowed to leave the couch. And yes, we will see you next week for more. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Wired Unplugged.